What do you do for a living?
I'm retired now, but I was a financial analyst.
How do you feel about being retired nowadays?
I'm totally happy with being retired. Some people say that you get bored and they wouldn't recommend retiring and that people get bored and then they just die and whatever. Well, that's all a lie because we love being retired and we don't want to go back.
As a financial analyst, what is the best money advice do you have for anyone out there who's watching right now?
I would say you got to be in the market. I mean, depending on what level you're comfortable with.
Risk level.
But yeah, risk level. But if you've got $100,000 and you're willing to lose 10%, which is $10,000, then go in that way. Or you can put something in. You could take that $100,000 and put it all into something that's just going to make $10,000, like or 10%. I mean. You know what I mean? Like take the $100,000 and make 10,000, or take the 10,000 and put it into something making 20 or 30%.
And start
and
early.
and so
Start
it
early.
basically has all to do with comfort. But I would recommend learning about mutual funds, ETFs, bonds, and stocks,
And not spending money on frivolous things like we stopped having cable television, okay? 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I like Turner Classic Movies, okay? That was my big thing. Well, to have that package 20 years ago was $240 a month, okay? We're never home. So, and we already had our movie collection that we owned, our DVDs and such. So we canceled our cable, and I mean, think about it. That's $240 a month. That's a lot of money. Not overspending on your cell phones. Another place to save money, and all that money,
Definitely.
you can put it aside into a savings account or an investment account, and that's how you can start.
Right.
We advise everybody that we know that's younger than us that asks these same questions to save your money where, unless you're literally sitting in your house 24/7, do you really need television? You can come to any bar and watch the Super Bowl. You don't need a special thing, a special package.
Well, the other thing
to
is
do that.
what we have is, I did a lot of research on it, and we put an antenna on our roof.
Yep.
And one of the rotatable, it rotates. And around us, we get all kinds of stations over the air. And we have a Roku box, which you buy at once for $29.95, I think it was. And you get all kinds of free networks or like Pluto TV, Sunrise. There's all kinds of different apps on there that you can watch for free. And the TV that we have at home is better than the cable in the hotels.
That we're at
And
right
we
now.
don't pay anything.
Yeah.
You don't pay anything.
Yeah.
Unless we want to rent a movie for $2.99 or something like that, which we never do. So
And when you stop and think about it, when we think of we advise our children, nieces and nephews, everybody that asks us, how did we get to where we're at? And this is how we tell them. It's like, don't spend money that you don't have to. If you're only home 10% of the time, or not sleeping, okay, and you're only home, for a couple of hours, 3-4 hours a day, is it really worth that cable television bill?
Although you
we turned 65.
at 65 years old, being a financial analyst, what is one thing you've learned about money?
It's a tool. Money is a tool, and you can't take it with you.
Yes.
As much money is to be. If you can look at money as a tool, just like you would in any kind of toolbox, then you can learn how to use that tool to be more self-sufficient with.
Yes.
And the best way to make money is with other people's money. When I was younger, I would take a credit card because you get like 0% for 12 months or something, and I would take money out on that credit card, paying it back at 0%, and I would take that money and invest it in the stock market, and I would make money on that. I would make money on that money, I'd pay off the credit card and I'd have money left over. But what she's going to say is you have to be very careful about that, because if you don't have the money to pay off the credit card,
Yes.
but I did a lot of research and I knew what I was
Yeah,
doing.
you have to be diligent and determined and disciplined. That's the word,
Disciplined, yeah.
disciplined. Because if you're not disciplined, if you know you're taking out that money and you need to pay back X amount of dollars per month, okay, and you're making money off of that, but you've got 0% interest. If you're not paying that every month, then you're going to have a balloon at the end, and it's going to cost you more than what you're making on the money. So you've really got to you got to say, all right, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to eat ramen instead of peanut butter for the next month because my electricity went up, but I got to pay that money, right now. Or
One of the main principles in finance is to use other people's money at a lower rate. Let's say you borrow at 3% or 4% and you invest it and you're making 10. That's how you use other people's money
To make
money. And once you get to a certain point where you have enough money invested and you make money on the principle of that, you don't ever have to touch that again.
Yep.
You just keep that money. It's like a motor, or it's like a money tree.
That's
you
how
just
the rich people do
Yeah,
it.
you just keep your money tree at the same level, same amount, and the money that comes in from that every month is what you live on.
And we're nothing close to rich, but I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
we've both
We've both made good investments when we were younger.
And we've also analyzed how do the people that have all the money, how do the rich people do this? How do they do it? And when you analyze what they do and how they do it, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
then
And another thing, it's not a bad thing to start small.
no.
You have to start somewhere.
Yep.
And as you're starting small and you're learning, and some of that learning is going to be you're going to be losing a few times. But the thing is you're learning, and as you're losing and as you're gaining, you're learning. And whatever you learn, nobody can take that from you. You can use that. You build a good foundation, build a good financial foundation, whether it's with investing or whether it's in real estate or whether it's in, working at a company and working with machines or whatever. As long as you're learning and building that good foundation, nobody can take that from you, and you can use all that knowledge to benefit you.
As a financial analyst, what is the hardest things in working in that job?
I don't know. I really, there were some things I didn't care for and some things that I did. One of the things I really did care for was capital budgeting. And what that is working for a company and they decide they're trying to expand, and they want to build onto the building, and they want to add machines, and they want to add people, and they want to start building this new product. What a financial analyst does is they do the research, find out how much money it's going to take to build the building, how much it's going to cost to get the machines, what the product can sell for, what the product is going to cost, how much the labor is going to cost, and at the very end you come up with a number, and the number tells you whether it's a good idea to do that addition or not. And if it is, you start getting quotes and whatnot, and if it isn't, you move on to the next thing.
What do you love about being a financial analyst?
I would say just being able to set my own goals. I don't have to call anybody. I can do it myself, and I do it myself. I use Fidelity, and I handle all my own transactions. It's very simple, really, once you start doing it. I do all my research. I use ETFs mostly. Those are called exchange-traded funds. And I like to be able to keep my hands on it and to be able to know what it's doing. It's like being able to have your hand on a patient's pulse. I have my hand on my investment's pulse, and I can know at any time. I can look at my phone and I can see what the market's doing, and I can think to myself, oh, I'm losing a little bit today. Oh, I'm gaining a little bit today, and I just know automatically what it's doing just from being so familiar with it.
How much money would you say a financial analyst can make every month?
Well, it depends on what company you're with. The bigger the company, most likely the more you're going to make. I would say low six figures mostly. I would say typically right around 90, 85, something like that.
Being a financial analyst, what is the hardest things? What is the most problem have you encountered with people?
Well, sometimes working with other financial analysts and accountants, they can be kind of dry. I don't want to offend anybody, but some people have better personalities than others, and there's a lot of people in accounting because of the way it's structured. There's not really any.
A lot of social
Yeah, there's not a lot of social. A lot of people sitting behind a desk all by themselves and crunching things on a computer.
So some people
and,
lack some people
yeah,
skills.
right, yeah, people. That's it.
Sometimes they lack people skills.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that's it, right there, really.
So, as a financial analyst, have you ever been broke?
Well, we had a business. I wouldn't say we were broke.
No, we weren't broke.
But back in 2008, we had a business of building modular homes. And of course, back in 2008, the housing market crashed, and so we had three houses on the market, and it came down to we hunkered down and decided it came down to whichever house didn't sell, that's the one we were going to live in until everything blew over. And so we adjusted our lives, and we ended up in a house that was way too large for us, but we sailed it out, and made it through. And then after things got better, we readjusted and kind of got back to the way we were. So, I mean, you have to be flexible.
Yes.
Because if you're not flexible, you're gonna, every time the wind blows, you're gonna feel it face on,
Yeah.
instead of maybe bending a little bit and being more flexible. So.
And just, hey, this isn't working. Okay. Or like the housing market collapsed. Okay. Well, we couldn't do anything about that, but we had to adapt and move on to something else, which is what we did.
That's what I was thinking
Right.
too, which means the muscle.
And I like to say something, is that it's better to admit you picked the wrong door to go through instead of going through that door and staying in the wrong room for a long time. So
Yeah, just keep going.
yeah, it's better to admit that you made a mistake and move on and start something new, or change your tactics or your business model or whatever, instead of just maintaining the same thing. And and
Digging
another thing
yourself
is
deeper into a hole.
and the other thing is you got to be happy with what you do.
Yes.
Because if you're not happy, you're not going to enjoy what you do, and your life, you're going to bring your job home with you. You're going to bring home all those feelings to your house, and your house is going to be in strife, and it's just not a good thing. So depending on even if you're not making as much money as you'd like to, when you get up in the morning and you put your feet on the floor and you feel pretty good about what you're going to be doing that day, that is huge. Because an unhappy person, I mean, the stress is, it's a killer. It can kill you. You're going to have heart attacks and whatnot. It's always better to have some form of joy about what you're doing.
As a financial analyst, where do you think people should invest their money? What is the best investment right now?
Right now, gold. Everybody is anticipating gold to go up and to keep going up through next year. As a matter of fact, I was mentioning this morning I might get into an ETF, gold ETF.
Gold.
But gold is not typically something I do invest in. But I might be able to put a small percentage of my investments into gold, a gold ETF. But I really like high tech. I have a lot of my investments in high tech, and I have investments in the S&P and the NASDAQ, which are also high tech. But if you look at the list of everything that's in those baskets, there's all kinds of different companies in there. And the main thing is to be diversified.
Yes.
What is the best advice do you have for anyone nowadays? Things are becoming very expensive. What is the secret for this young generation to become successful in life?
Look for the deals. If you've got a lot of people, I think, have their lives set on autopilot, kind of. Well, the TV bills, those just come out of my pay. Those just those hit my credit card automatically every month. All these things that are household expenses are just set to be paid automatically. Have a look at those. You got to manage your household. If you set your household on autopilot and all these things, you're never going to know what's going on. You're never going to be. you're never going to know if you're being overcharged for something. You're never going to know when things change, and you need to have a look at them. And another thing is that it doesn't. Don't spend more than you got. If you can afford a new car, and it might not be the one that it might not be the one that you think is going to make your image the way you want. Well, buy something smaller, because if something happens and you can't make those payments, you're going to be part of the bucket where the bank comes and picks up your car.
It's 2025, and I drive a 2013 Chevy Cruze.
That's right. And I'm always telling her, when are you going to get a different car? When are you going to?
It's like, I don't need a car. Yeah. I don't need a new car, and I don't need a new car. My car is in great shape. It's got a couple dings here and there, but mechanically, it's sound. It gets maintained well. You get the oil changes, and you get any other. I just had the 100,000 mile maintenance on it just at December last year.
And last year we drove it from Michigan all the way down to Key West.
Key West.
Yeah.
And then back.
Yeah. And I'll say another thing is, whenever you're going to take out a loan for anything, the way I do it is that if I want to pay something off in 3 years, let's say I buy a car and I'm going to pay it off in 3 years. I still take a 6 or 7 year loan, even though the interest rate is a little more. It's better to be able to, if things fall apart and you need money and you're short on money, then you can lower your payment and make your car payments based on that 6 or 7 year loan. You can always early pay, even though your interest rate might be a little longer, because the longer your term, the higher your interest rate, but incrementally it's not that much. So, if you run the numbers, it might cost you a little more to be able to pay a 6 or 7 year loan off in 3 years. But if things, if push comes to shove and things get tight and you need money, you can make the loan, your loan payments on that as a 6 or 7 year loan. And if things are going good, you can pay that 6 or 7 year loan off as a 3 year loan. You just, So, but those are the kind of things that kind of give you a little leeway whenever you need it.
Is it hard to become a financial analyst, and how can someone get a job on that?
It's, well, to begin with, when you first start out, there's a lot of weed out courses. And let me give you, for instance, math. It can be difficult, but anybody can do it. They'll have classes where you'll go in there and you'll have a quiz on something, and they ask you 20 questions and you get 5 minutes to answer 20 questions. Well, nobody's going to answer all those questions, but the thing is it's getting people, the ones that really want to stick to it are the ones that stay. Some people move on to other things, but that's really kind of how the first semester, first 1 or 2 semesters of university is.
Do they do you can take financial courses like at the community college levels sometimes too.
Oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
We're talking university because we both went to university, but community colleges have a lot of really good programs.
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing about finance is it's not really math per se. It's not 1 + 1 = 2, that kind of thing. It's more of the time value of money, how to figure out what a bond is going to be worth in 10, 15 years, 5 days, it's basically money. It's always better to have money now than it is in the future, because if you have money now, you can do something with it. You can make money with it. If you're looking for, money in the future, you don't have that money yet. And whatever it is in the future is already going to go through inflation. So if you have money now, it's always good to have money now. But what I mean by time value of money, let's say you're going to buy, you're going to buy something that's for $1,000, and you're putting $1,000 you're buying it right now, and that $1,000 thing is going to give you a cash flow back in of, let's say, $100 a month. Well, if you take all those $100 a month payments and bring them back to what they're worth today, $100, that $100 a year from now is not going to be worth as much as $100 today, because if you're going to get the $100 then, you don't have it to make 8% with now. Let's say you're going to make 8% on 10% on that $1,000. Well, that $100 then, if you don't have it now, you can't make 10% on it. When you get that $100 a year from now, it's only going to be $100 at whatever it's worth then. You see what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
So by having the money sooner and investing it, it's worth more. I guess basically that's kind of how it works. But anybody could, get onto AI or get onto Google and Google time value of money, and that'll give you an explanation of how that all works.
Yeah.
So some people said having a lot of money bring happiness. Do you think having a lot of money bring happiness or not?
I don't think it brings happiness, but it can make a difference. I think you're either going to be happy, and sometimes it takes work to be happy. Happiness doesn't fall on people. I think I think human beings in general are typically critical of not only themselves but of other things. But the more money you have, if you're happy, you're going to be happy. Having more money means you can do more things, but that doesn't mean you're going to be happy. I know people that don't have a whole lot of money and they're happy.
Very happy.
Yeah, they're happy. And you got to have to look at also, a lot of the movie stars, and some of them aren't too happy. So happiness is really from within, I think. The money, our money gives us a chance to do some traveling, come down to Miami Beach and have some fun, talk to you. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy with it.
As a financial analyst, what is the smartest way you can save $1,000?
I would say look at all those things that you're spending your money on.
Yep.
Have a budget.
Yep.
I think the best way, because there's always some way to
Buy a rabbit ears
yeah.
and kill cable.
Yeah,
Poof.
there you go, right there. And I would say have a goal. Have a goal. Once you get a budget, figure out what you can minimize, and still have what you want. Have a good quality of life. With your food and everything. If you're eating lobster every other night, you might want to cut that down to maybe once a week. So anyway, find the things that you can save a nickel here, $1 there, $2 here, there, and whatnot, and just have your goal in mind and keep thinking about where you're going to be and not where you're at now, because that way you have the incentive to get to where your goal is, and you're not kind of pessimistic about things because it's taking more time or taking time. Just understand that it does take time to get where you want to be, and it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So just keep pushing on that wall and it'll move. So
let me ask you, is it better to pay off debt or invest first?
Well, it depends on how much your debt is, how much you're paying on your debt.
Got 14-15% credit card debt, and you can make 10% on your investments, then yeah, you want to pay off the 15% credit card debt first, because 15% interest on your debt is more than 15 or 10% interest on your investment. So always pay off your highest interest rate debt first.
Yeah.
And anything more than you can make, and I'd say an average is about 10%.
Yeah.
We make about
I think it's
make about 10% on our money. So if we have a debt, like let's say we put a new roof on the house, okay, and it's 0% interest for a year, all right, and it's a $12,000 roof, for instance. But we don't have to pay anything for a year. But at the end of that year, whatever's not paid off, we're going to pay 20% interest. Well,
Right.
we don't
All
want
at
to pay.
once.
Yeah, all at once. We don't want to pay that. So you take your 12 months, divide your 12,000, so it's $1,000 a month. You make sure you pay that $1,000 a month every month, so it's paid off before that high interest rate kicks in. And that's
called same as cash.
Yeah, same as cash. And that's a great way to do it. But if you have all that, if you already have that credit card debt at 20%, 24% interest, pay that off as
Yeah,
quick as you can.
Because normally on a loan like that, the loan payment will be less than $1,000 a month.
Yes.
So what Joyce is saying is that make
They-
sure you have that $1,000 budgeted, so that when the time comes and the loan is due, because if you don't pay the balance when the loan is due, they'll hit you with 20% or whatever it is right there on that day.
And then all
that's
of a sudden
due.
you've got this big balloon payment.
Yeah, so it's always better to either have it planned, make the payments that you're scheduled for on your contract, and keep the money back to finish it off at the end, or just pay it as though you divided it by 12 and make those payments that way.
How much money should people keep on their savings?
Well, I guess it depends on how they're living. Like somebody living in the Versace mansion back here, they're probably going to want to have more. Let's give it a percentage. I would say 6 months. 6 months worth of for emergency funds, for your to be able to pay for everything in your house.
Yeah, in case you lose your job.
Yeah.
Because it happens.
Yeah, it does. It does happen.
Why do most people stay broke?
They overspend.
Yeah.
They overspend. They try to, I've got to have the same kind of clothes as my friends. I have to have that Gucci purse or the, Dolce & Gabbana, handbag or the Ferragamo shoes. And I've got to have the, Movado watch and people spend their money on those material things, and that's how most people stay broke, because they buy those things and then that's how they incrementally get their credit card debt. Or they buy that Mercedes when they really can only afford a Chevy Cruze. Or I drive a Chevy Cruze because I don't want to pay for we could get a Mercedes, but I don't want to pay for a Mercedes. Right. Because I don't care what somebody else thinks about what I drive.
Right. That's huge. And the thing is that too is to have discipline. Just go through your expenses, make sure that you can pay. A lot of people think, well, I'll take care of it tomorrow. Well, the decisions you make today affect tomorrow. And the decisions you make today about your money will affect how much you have to use tomorrow. And I guess it all depends on how much you really want to have. I mean, we know people that they can't keep a dime. They couldn't keep it. If they get a dime in their hand, they look for something to spend it on. Mm-hmm. And the first thing we do is that what can we do? There's more we can do with this dime than just spend it. We can put this dime somewhere, and in a couple of months it'll be worth 20 cents. So that's.
As a financial analyst, should people rent or buy a house?
That's a tough one.
That is.
And then the thing is about the market. When rents go high, usually housing starts to come down, and vice versa because of supply and demand. Mm-hmm. But I would say, I guess you have to do what you got to do. I mean, if you're young and you can't afford a house, you got to live somewhere, so you have to rent. But if you get to the point where you can build a house or you can buy a house, I would suggest having that asset. But one thing is a lot of people don't realize that there are better assets to put your money into
than a house.
Sometimes the market in the housing market, sometimes the value of homes will go up like really quick, a whole lot, and sometimes they're kind of flat.
Go down.
Yeah.
It does happen.
So, I guess it really all depends on what the market is and what your specific needs are at the time.
Sometimes you can buy an undervalued home and put a little work into it, and make a little money on it. But the biggest thing is and a lot of things that homeowners, of course, if you finance your home, things like taxes, your real estate taxes.
She's a tax guru.
Real estate taxes and insurance costs. Most lenders will escrow that in, so that's already in there, your monthly payment. But if you stop and you can go online now and get calculators right online. Mm-hmm. So if this is the house you're interested in, it'll tell you, this is your down payment, this is what the property taxes are going to be, this is what the insurance is going to be, this is what your monthly payment is going to be. And if you look at that, and then you look at what it would cost you to buy something or to rent something, maybe you can save money renting if you're in a good neighborhood. But like we would rent a 2-bedroom apartment even if it was just the two of us, because you got the second bedroom as for guests, or use it as storage. Now you're not paying $250 a month for a storage unit, because it's less than $200 to get a 2-bedroom apartment versus a 1-bedroom apartment. So things like that, but you got to look at everything. You really do. And
the household really needs to be managed.
Yes.
Instead of just set on autopilot and let it go.
Yeah. And it's difficult. It really is. You've got to be smart. You got to be smart with your money.
Yeah.
How should people pay less money on taxes?
It depends on what taxes. You've got property taxes. That's going to depend on where you live. I'm not even talking about what area of southern Florida you're living in, what state you're living in. The least expensive place that we've ever seen that for property taxes is South Carolina. That's why everybody's moving to South Carolina. But there's other states that are less expensive to live in. Your car insurance in Michigan is very high. You move to other states, Indiana, Ohio, Illinois. Your insurance on your vehicle are less in other states. Why? Depends on whether or not it's a no-fault state. Michigan's a no-fault state. It's more expensive to insure your vehicle in a no-fault state. As far as other taxes, my best advice is to have a home-based business. For instance, you have your home-based business right here, okay? This is where you can write off a percentage of all of your household expenses, the percentage of your apartment that you use to manage this business. That percentage, let's say it's 10%, for argument's sake, 10% of your the 1,000 square feet you rent. So you take that and 10% of all of your bills, okay? Electric,
mortgage.
Yeah, electric, everything can be written off. It's on a Schedule C. And that's how a lot of people do it, because a lot of people, they call it a side hustle now. They didn't call it that, 30, 40 years ago. But now it's called a side hustle. If you have a side hustle and you dedicate a specific portion of your home, whether it's you rent it or you own it, doesn't matter. You can write that off, and you just put it on a Schedule C.
Yeah, and if you're going to overspend, it's always better to do it when you have more than you need. It's if you don't have enough yet, don't overspend.
Yeah.
It's all up here. It's all in your mind.
Yeah.
It's all how you think about things.
Yeah.
As a financial analyst, what is one way people can build wealth?
Again,
Investing.
Not
using
overspending.
not only get yourself some seed money, look at your budget, get yourself some seed money, start investing, start learning about how the market works, start learning about how politics can affect the market, start learning about how business can affect the market, start learning about how innovation can affect the market. Basically, the market is all about what people think. Nothing bad can happen, but if there's a rumor or something going around, it can make the market go down. Or if there's a rumor about, maybe Powell is going to lower interest rates, well, then you'll notice that the market goes up.
Whether or not it's true.
So, depending on how most people, just become familiar with how the market operates.
And don't be reactionary about it.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too.
Yeah. Don't buy high and sell low.
Yeah.
People
freak out because they read something on the internet, whether or not it's true, it doesn't matter. They freak out and then they do something, and then they find out later, oops. Just don't be reactionary. Just
Sometimes you have to just wait. You're going to be very uncomfortable watching your money slip, and sometimes you have to get out, but sometimes you have to wait it out, and it's very uncomfortable, and sometimes it's downright scary. But if you're going to be in, you got to kind of realize. That's when I go back to, if you have $10,000 to invest, you can take the 10,000 and put it all into something that's going to make 10%, or you can take 10% of your $10,000 and put it into something that's going to make 20 or 30 or 40%. It all depends. That mix is what
But don't
is what you're
expect
going
the
to.
24%.
No, don't expect it. But there are investments on there that you can get that kind of money with, such
When
as
it happens, say yay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't expect it, because then you'll be
Right.
disappointed.
Right.
And I'll tell you, 10% is pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Unless you're paying 25% on your credit
Right.
card.
That's right.
So don't do that.
Yeah, don't buy an investment that's going to pay you 5%. That's going to cost you 10% to buy it.
Yeah.
Because then you lose money right from the very beginning.
And you don't want to lose money.
Where are you from?
We're from Michigan.
How much do you guys pay for rent there?
It's our
We own our home.
Yeah.
So property taxes are all that we need
Yeah.
to deal with right now.
yeah, and that's a couple of thousand.
How much you pay for your property taxes there?
About
Yeah,
2,500, 3,000 a year.
Yeah, some of these things she knows better than I do.
Yeah, about 3,000 a year for property taxes. Well, actually, no, it's more like, now that I think about it, it's more like $5,000 for property taxes a year.
Do you guys think that the government should remove the property taxes or not?
Oh, well, everybody would love that, wouldn't
Yeah,
they?
everybody would like that. Yeah. But
there's-
they do have to have revenue. But some of the things that they spend their money on, I think, I just think that they could be more efficient. With them.
As far as where they spend their money,
Yeah.
yes.
When did you guys buy your house? What year was it?
A long time ago.
1989.
Yeah.
1989.
And how much money did you guys buy it for? And how much money do you think it might cost today?
It cost about 100, and we had it built, and it cost about 100 and
30,
I guess maybe
140.
I would say about 130 or 40.
How big is it?
It was 1,500 square feet.
And how much do you think it would cost nowadays?
Probably 220, 250 probably.
Yeah, 250, 275
Yeah.
in that ballpark,
Yeah.
because it's on property. It's on. It's not in a subdivision. It's on a couple of acres of land,
Right.
2.5 acres. So
Do you guys think life become more expensive nowadays than before?
absolutely.
Yeah, I would say so. But some things, like take gasoline. If gasoline really followed the inflation rate, it would be much more expensive now. In the same way with a lot of things. If you take a 3% inflation rate, from back when, let's say the 1930s, and if you took it and compounded at 3%, a lot of things would be much more expensive than they are now in today's dollars.
You look very confident. What makes you confident?
I would say for me, just going through the low points, and there are low points in life, and just going through those low points and having the perseverance to make it through, because God puts you on a potter's wheel. When sometimes God says, okay, it's time for you to make a couple of changes. I'm putting you on the potter's wheel. Well, the clay doesn't like being on the potter's wheel. It's uncomfortable. But when you come out, you're a better piece of china. You know what I mean? But you have to go through that first in order to get to the next level in your life. And if you resist that, you'll never get outside the box. You'll never look outside the box. You'll never grow outside the box. When I was younger, I basically put myself in a cage because I was afraid to do certain things, And I got to the point where now that I'm older, I had the keys in my pocket the whole time, And sometimes you have to do things when you're afraid. And after you do that a few times, you're not so afraid about things.
What do you do daily to boost your confidence?
I would say just, be grateful. Be grateful for what we have. We don't have everything. We're not wealthy. We have enough to get by and we have enough to be retired on. But just to be grateful for what you have, be thankful, and you can always find something wrong with something. But if you concentrate, and it is all on how you think. If you think positively, you'll be positive. And if you are positive, you'll exude positivity, and your life, your relationships will be better. If you have a job, your job will be better. All that, you'll see a major difference in your life.
Smile, and when
Yeah.
people ask me, "How you doing today?" I say, "I'm fabulous."
Yeah.
And they say, "You're fabulous?" It's like, yeah, I get to choose whether or not I want to be fabulous today or something else. I feel I want to be fabulous, so I'm fabulous.
Yeah, that's right. And you are what you think. It's true. If you think that you don't deserve anything, you won't get anything. If you don't think that you deserve good things in life, you'll
And
never be able to get
don't give
them.
up.
Yeah,
Don't give up. Don't
Yeah.
ever give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
Because,
There's a lot of things in life that'll try to get you to quit.
yeah, I tell everybody,
And
I
you-
will win.
Yeah, and
It takes me a long time to win sometimes, but I will win. It's just a matter of how long it takes me to get there.
That's right.
At 65 years old, been married for 25 years old, as a financial analyst, I know a lot of people is going to watch you right now. What is the best life advice do you both guys have for someone who is watching right now?
Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
Don't give up.
It's easy to give up.
It is.
It's easy to blame other people for your life, you know.
And I'm going to pick
You know,
that up.
and you know the thing is, none of us had perfect parents. We're not perfect parents. You can't blame your parents for everything in your life.
You can't blame
You either
life
you know,
for anything.
You have to get up at some point. You have to get up. You have to get up in the morning and look out the window and say, you know,
Put your big boy pants on.
this is my fault.
Yeah.
This is my fault that I'm here right now. I can't blame what happened to me 20 years ago. If I'm going to do something about it, I got to take my life by the horns, and I have to do something with it. And it's easy to stay in bed, and it's easy to sleep, and it's easy to stay in the house and not get out there. And it's scary sometimes. But like I said before, sometimes you got to do it afraid.
But
And-
also, too, another thing that I want to add to your viewers is that don't be afraid to ask for help,
yeah.
because, you know, mental health help. You know, I mean, if you're really really down and you know, go
Yeah.
get help.
Yeah,
Go
there's
get
professionals.
help. There's help out there. There's help in doctors, institutions, you know, therapists, mental health. I can tell you this: I'm medicated for depression, believe it or not, and have been for 30 years before I ever met him. And it's okay. It's okay to need help. And that medication changed my life. I mean, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it, not of your spouse, your parents, your friends, your doctors, whomever. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like mine with medicated depression. It could just be anything. You need advice. You're talking to us right now,
Definitely.
asking for things. Well, there you go.
And
Don't be afraid to ask for
and
help.
I would add one more thing. You know, if you have people in your life that are toxic,
Walk away.
you got to go.
Yep.
You know,
Walk away.
you got to get out of the boat, and you got to do your own thing. And they're going to look at you like, well, so and so. You know, what's wrong with him? He's out of the boat, and they're going to feel uncomfortable because
They're going to try to drag you
yeah,
back.
they're going to try to drag you back. If they're toxic to you, that's going to bring you down. And it's going to be hard for you to enjoy your life if you associate with them and let them affect you. And it really is. Life is all about how you think. It really is.
At 65 years old, do you think our future is in our hands or in our parents' hands or in our politicians' hands?
I think your future is in your hands. And I think our future is in our hands. You have such power, but it really is all how you think. If you think that you can go out there and do something, you can do it.
You can.
You know, you can. You
Yep.
really can. But if you think that
You can't do it.
yeah,
Or,
you know, if you think you
or
can't
you're
do
afraid.
it, yeah, fear is one of the most damaging things in a person. And it's easy, if you look around and you see this, that, and the other thing, it's easy to be afraid. But sometimes you just got to bust loose and you got to look outside the box and you got to say, hey, I'm comfortable in this box and I'm not going to run a marathon today, but at least I'm going to look outside my box. I'm going to look outside my box and I'm going to see what there is. And then next week I'm going to maybe take a little longer look outside my box, out of my comfort zone. And then the week after that, or maybe the month after that, then I'm going to get out of my box and I'm going to start walking around and just seeing what's out there, seeing what is going to be good for me. It doesn't all happen. It doesn't happen in a sprint. It's a marathon.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.